Hello everyone, and welcome back to Meshcat English House. I'm Emma, and I'm so happy you're here today.
And I'm Jack. In today's episode, we'll explore how you can learn English more quickly by using podcasts. We've divided the discussion into 5 chapters, so you'll get clear and practical steps.
Exactly. We'll explain why podcasts are powerful, how to choose the right ones, the difference between passive and active listening, how to build daily habits, and finally, how to make podcasts fit your personal learning style.
Great, let's dive into Chapter 1.
Podcasts are such an amazing tool for learning English because they expose you to real, natural language. Textbooks are useful, but they often give you perfect sentences that nobody actually says in daily life. When you listen to podcasts, you hear the rhythm of speech, the intonation, and how words connect together. For example, native speakers rarely say going to, they often say gonna. That's the kind of thing you'll notice through listening, and it makes your English sound much more real. Yes, and podcasts also help with vocabulary. When you hear words repeated in different contexts, you start to remember them naturally. You don't even realize you're learning, it just sticks in your memory. Plus, many podcasts are conversational, which makes them easier to follow and more enjoyable than reading a grammar book.
And enjoyment is key. When you actually like what you're listening to, you stay motivated. That's why podcasts are special, they mix learning with entertainment. You're not only studying English, you're also hearing stories, news, jokes, or interviews. That combination makes learning feel less like homework and more like a hobby.
Now, one of the most important steps is choosing the right podcast. If you're a beginner, you don't want to start with a fast, complicated podcast for native speakers. That can feel discouraging because you won't understand much. Instead, it's better to start with podcasts made for English learners. These usually have slower speech, clear pronunciation, and explanations of new words. Once you get comfortable, you can challenge yourself with more advanced podcasts.
That's such an important point. I also recommend choosing topics you already enjoy. If you love cooking, find a podcast about food. If you're into sports, pick a sports podcast. When you care about the topic, your brain pays more attention, and you naturally remember the language better. I once followed a podcast about travel, and because I was passionate about the subject, I learned dozens of new words without even trying.
Yes, interest really keeps you going. Another tip is to check the length of the episodes. Some podcasts are 5 minutes, others are over an hour. For learners, short to medium episodes are usually best. They're not overwhelming, and you can finish them in one sitting. It feels good to complete an episode, and that sense of progress motivates you to keep listening.
Exactly, and don't forget about the hosts. If you like their voice and style, you'll want to come back. If the voice is boring or too difficult to understand, you'll probably give up. So experiment, try a few different shows, and choose one that matches both your level and your interests. That's how you'll get the most benefit.
Let's move to a very useful strategy, the difference between passive and active listening. Passive listening means you play a podcast in the background while doing something else, like cleaning, walking, or cooking. You're not focused 100%, but your ears are still catching the sounds, the rhythm, and some words. Over time, this builds familiarity with English.
Right, but passive listening alone won't make you improve quickly. That's where active listening comes in. Active listening is when you sit down, focus, maybe take notes, and even pause the podcast to repeat sentences. One of the best techniques is shadowing, repeating after the speaker in real time. It feels strange at first, but it's amazing for pronunciation, fluency, and listening comprehension.
I love shadowing too. When I was learning French, I would listen to a podcast and repeat after the host. It really improved my accent and gave me confidence. Active listening is like doing exercise for your brain, it's harder, but it makes you stronger. Passive listening is like background training, it helps, but more slowly. That's why you need both.
Exactly. The best plan is to mix them. Maybe in the morning, you do some passive listening while preparing breakfast, and later in the day, you do 10 to 15 minutes of active listening where you really focus. That balance gives you both exposure and deep practice. Over time, you'll notice that your brain starts to understand English more automatically.
Now let's talk about habits. Consistency is the secret to learning any language. It's better to listen for 10 minutes every single day than for an hour once a week. Your brain needs regular contact with English to remember it. Think of it like watering a plant. A little bit every day keeps it alive and growing, but if you forget for a week and then pour a big bucket, it doesn't work well.
That's such a clear image. I also tell my students to connect podcast listening to daily routines. For example, always listen while walking to school, or always play a podcast while brushing your teeth at night. If you tie the habit to something you already do, it becomes automatic, and you don't forget. Soon, listening becomes a natural part of your day.
Yes, and small habits lead to big results. If you listen for just 15 minutes every day, that adds up to almost 2 hours per week. In a month, that's 8 hours of English. Imagine how much your listening will improve after 6 months of that. And the best part is, it doesn't feel like a heavy study session.
Exactly. And don't be too hard on yourself if you miss a day. The key is to keep coming back. Even if you skip one day, just continue the next day. What matters is the overall routine, not perfection. With steady practice, you'll be surprised at how quickly your English improves.
Finally, let's talk about how to personalize your podcast learning. Everyone learns differently, so you need to find the method that fits you best. Some people like taking notes, others prefer repeating after the host, and some enjoy just listening many times. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try different techniques and see what feels comfortable.
Yes, personalization is very important. I also recommend setting small goals. For example, decide that you'll learn 3 new phrases from each episode. Or challenge yourself to repeat one full sentence perfectly. Having these mini goals makes your learning more focused and rewarding.
Another good idea is to review. Don't just listen once, go back and replay your favorite episodes. The first time, you might only understand 50%. The second time, maybe 70%. By the third time, you'll notice words and expressions you missed before. Repetition is powerful for memory.
Absolutely. And above all, enjoy the process. Podcasts are not just about learning English, they're about connecting with interesting ideas, stories, and voices. If you enjoy it, you'll keep going. And the more you keep going, the faster you'll improve. Learning quickly doesn't mean rushing, it means staying consistent and making learning part of your life.
So today we covered 5 chapters: why podcasts work, how to choose the right one, active and passive listening, building habits, and making podcasts work for you.
We hope this gives you practical tools to start learning English quickly with podcasts. Remember, consistency and enjoyment are the keys.
Thanks so much for listening, and don't forget to practice a little every day.